the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. Thank you for letting me read that.
All right. Hey, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And well, it's New Year's Eve, and so you can put up a New Year's background in your, because just because we're sober doesn't mean we don't know how to party. Like, look at Matt. Matt's apparently looking over Times Square, huh? Yeah, there you. And Sam's still stuck in Christmas. So, Lori, let's see it. You could have like New Year's in Dubai. Let's see. If the Taliban celebrate New Year's in it was New Year's a little while ago in Australia. Oh, and in about an hour it's going to be New Year's in Scotland. Any of those Scottish friends will show up here. Yeah. So so I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about this Big Book Day, being sober on a holiday like this as compared to other holidays. Now, I can remember one New Year's I was in New York City. I was 16. I was going to high school, and a bunch of us got on the Staten Island Ferry and came back on New Year's Eve, and we were in Times Square and then traveling around the city, and there was some drinking going on at age 16 and taking drugs. I didn't even know what drugs were, and somebody had given me some. So there I was, and the thing that had happened to me was, and this was in 1962, New Year's Eve. 1963 was going to be the next year. Was It's very cold in Times Square and was very crowded, and there were a bunch of us, and so we decided we will go to Lower Manhattan and take the Staten Island Ferry and then come into the city for New Year's and then see the fireworks over the city. So that was kind of fun. Still very cold. And we were drinking, and then somehow we decided to go into a bar in Lower Manhattan, which was there was nobody there. There were these desperate, lonely alcoholics and high school kids that were up to drink. And I remember how depressing it was. I thought, this is a get out of here. And so we went back to a party on a 5-story walk-up student building where a lot of students lived, and somebody had given me something to drink. I wasn't really used to it, and gave me some marijuana. And then I was sitting out on the fire escape, and I decided that I was going to kill myself and throw myself off the building, off the 5-story. And then as I started to do that, some of the other people grabbed me and said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I don't want to live any longer. And so they got me down inside until I kind of straightened out. And I think somebody gave me like a Valium or something to make me settle down. And so that was my first experience with marijuana and also some drinking. But do you know, within 1 year of hardly drinking at all, I became a raging alcoholic, and I ended up in my first alcohol treatment center a year later. Had my 18th or 19th birthday there in a locked 36-day ward, diagnosed with acute alcoholism and a few other things. So I was like, no, I'm mentally ill, I'm crazy. And they were like, you may be, but one thing is for sure, you're never going to be able to take drugs normally again. And I was like, well, why not? They said, well, the problem is every time you take this stuff, you just go right off the rails. I mean, most people will have a drink or two or three or have fun. I would have, I would drink and just go wild. I mean, my first experience was trying to kill myself. The next after that, it would be like just being completely crazy. So I could never control it from the get-go. Um, Eventually, I learned how to control it to the point where I wasn't acting so erratic. But people would be forewarned about being around me when I was drinking. I'd be like, don't want to go drinking with him. And then, so if I had friends and we were going to go to a bar, they'd say, Jesus, don't invite him. Or if there was a car involved, they'd be like, do not let him drive. Um, Eventually, within a couple of years, I went to college, and when I got there, it was a place called Wyndham College in Putney, Vermont, and everybody who was there, the people that I met were the heavy drinkers. They drank the way I did. They thought I was wonderful. They was like, great, this guy's trying to drive his car up the side of a mountain. We like him. And so I kind of found my people. Oh, I like that, Sam. That looks nice. I found my people, the heavy drinkers, and the ones that wouldn't be too, they wouldn't hold it against me if I was wild and crazy. And but I eventually ended up in treatment centers, and I eventually ended up in Alcoholics Anonymous by 1975. So from 63 to 75, I started out drinking in a downhill mode, and it completely went downhill more and more and more until I hit Alcoholics Anonymous in 1975, where I got, so it took me 3 years to get sober. I got sober in 77. But anyway, so New Year's and me and drinking were a poor mix. I'm trying to think, do I remember any time afterwards? No, the only thing I can remember is whenever I was drinking, I was drunk and I was incapacitated someplace. It wasn't great. And I had to be very careful about the kind of drugs I took. Like if I smoked pot or took LSD, I'd become way too introspective and, felt like I was going to lose my mind or jump out of a building or something, which, people do. So I was better off eating Valium and Xanax, Librium, Quaaludes, and anything that would, have be similar to alcohol. And then eventually I would just drink. The one movie that I kind of identify with, I don't know how accurate it would be for me, was that movie that came out, Leaving Las Vegas. I saw that. I had about 20 years sober, but I would prefer to drink that way, just like as much as possible, so that I could be passed out. So I wasn't really a great social drinker. If I was invited to a party and I got there at 8:30, by 8:45, I'd probably be passed out. They'd be like, what the just happened to him? So anyways, uh, so that's why when we come to an AA meeting like this and I start having fun, you'd be like, oh, great, here we go. But I had no idea of fun when I was drinking. It wasn't like alcohol was medicine. It was like alcohol would make me become unconscious. All right, that's what we'll call on people here. And you could talk about it's better to be sober on this New Year's than whatever the way it was before. Whatever you can get out of that. Stacy, over to you.
Hi, Stacy, alcoholic. In 2020, I spent New Year's Eve in rehab. That was my first sober New Year's ever, but I relapsed shortly after I got out of that rehab. And this year, I'm very happy to be sober and loving it, and I'm looking forward to making it to a year. Yeah, it's great. I bought some sparkling grape juice so I can have a little glass of that at midnight if I'm still awake. But that's it.
I will be sleeping.
Yeah, me too, probably, but just in case.
A natural. All right, good. Thank you. How about you, Matt? this New Year's compared to New Year's in the past?
I never was too crazy on New Year's for whatever reason. I don't know. I think because I'm just too old, and it's like I did go to New York City 30 years ago and did that whole thing, but I mean, Christmas Eve was always Christmas. Christmas Eve, last year went to bed at like 9 o'clock and then was out until like 8 the next morning and didn't help with anything, putting the presents out, etc. So this was a lot different this year, and it was like nice to be completely present the whole time and helping with stuff, and just the next morning up before the kids even, and seeing that whole thing. So no, it was definitely a big change, and it's much nicer the day after.
Well, and we'll see how tonight goes for you, huh?
No, I'll be in bed. Usually I haven't stayed up. I did stay up maybe last year, the year before, but usually I'm in bed by 10 unless I get a second wind.
Oh, excuse me, sorry. I I have this new computer and it's like it
But
has
the
a
crowd is really loud outside, so they may keep.
Ah! That's funny. Uh, okay, Joe in Boston. This New Year's compared to New Year's in the past that were a disaster.
Actually, I've never really been a New Year's person. I was recently talking to about it to my boyfriend, and the only New Year's that I actually remember having plans was well, I'll start it by saying I went to see a movie by myself, but my fiance at the time was waiting tables and I saw a movie and then went to his restaurant and it closed and we had a little party there. But it was so
So
tame.
everything, your drinking career worked out fine then. No problem.
In
That's
terms
why
of
you're in
New
an
Year's
AA
Eve,
meeting.
yes. But the only reason we did anything that year was because it was 99 and we were worried about Y2K. We lived in San Francisco. So
Okay, listen, maybe you're not an alcoholic. Let's see, let's talk with Sam. Sam?
Hey there, Jan. Sam, grateful alcoholic. So I am very excited because this will be the first sober New Year's for many, 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 many years. We're gonna have it with my family, my wife and kids. We're gonna have some nice tacos. We're gonna bring in the new year, watch Anderson and Andy Cohen do their thing, and yeah, just think about the amazingness that's coming next year.
And will there be drinking and stuff or no?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have the sparkling that stuff that Stacy said. We'll all just sparkling juice.
Oh yeah, but no
Yeah.
alcohol.
Oh, no alcohol, none whatsoever in this household.
Okay.
Brother.
Yeah, there
That's
you
what I'm
go.
saying.
That's the
This is
spirit.
the first sober New Year's in many years. Like I
Oh,
don't remember the
that's-
last time I had a sober New Year.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a real problem for us drinking around New Year's. So let's talk to Ron. How about you, Ron? New Year's now compared to New Year's then.
I'm Ron. I'm alcoholic with 103 days sober, and I am certainly grateful to be in this meeting and rushing home to get to a meeting rather than rushing to the liquor store trying to get something to drink before. Um, what few New Year's, I never was a big New Year's Eve person either, and that had to do with early on in my drinking career. The few that I remember did not go well. Just typical alcoholic behavior. I drank out of control from the get-go, like you were saying. Uh, thank goodness for those periods of short sobriety that I had along those years that I didn't drink. But this disease will keep calling you back. If I'm not praying or going to meetings, I'm subject to relapse. So I'm glad I'm praying today. I'm glad I'm trying to make a meeting every day, and I'm glad that I'm finally working the steps. And I'm just glad to be here and wish everybody a happy New Year's.
What was I gonna say? That's the spirit. That's what we're looking for. I mean, if you think about it for a second, let me see here. Oh, here we go. What's this here? Hang on for 1 second. Here is, I think, is this, uh, I was trying to find something, but I couldn't. I like it. Kim, how about you? In New York, 38 days. Your this New Year's compared to New Year's past. It's time for horror stories. Go right ahead.
No, actually, I've never been a big New Year's person. I had 4 kids and, rarely made it up to watch the ball drop. So, no, I was always the designated driver. I didn't start drinking till my mid-50s. So I had some trauma happen I just took some anxiety pills, started drinking some wine, and that's it. Like, as soon as I started drinking, I just couldn't get enough, no matter what. So I know I've got the genetics going on in there. So
Where
it's
are you
only
now? Are you in a treatment center? Are you home?
I'm home.
How's that
Yep,
going?
I'm home. So yep, I'm here with my mom lives with me, so she won't make it past 7:30. So and then I'll probably be in bed by 8:30. So
Oh, no. That's
mhm.
why we had the cat club earlier. Right.
Mhm.
Glad you're here. Let's see, who else is a big troublemaker? Lori, did you cause big trouble on New Year's when you were drinking and now you're sober? Look at you.
When I was much younger, I did. Um, we got really drunk and I blacked out. And when I came to, I was driving a car and had no idea where I was. I had never driven a car in my entire life. And I remember I stopped the car and just sat there and laughed. And I didn't act like that very often, but I've got a couple more horror stories. But that's one that happened on New Year's. But otherwise, like somebody else just said, I didn't drink. I raised my kids and didn't drink until I was older. So I don't have a bunch of New Year's Eve horror stories anymore.
Yeah, I like that about getting in a car. Yeah, I'm drunk, let's drive. Oh, Jesus, don't let him drive. And everybody else would be drunk, but they'd be like, you are really drunk. I'm like, no, I'm not. I can drive, certainly. Hey, Harry Berto.
Yeah, how's it going?
How's it different for you, man?
I'm gonna turn on this light real quick.
Yeah, sure thing.
Well, this is gonna be the second year in a row that I'm gonna be sober on New Year's. So, years prior, I don't know. I probably, depending on where I was hanging out and who I was with, I'd probably be drinking. So, yeah, but this is gonna be the second year in a row that I'm sober.
Is that right? What are you gonna do?
Nothing, just hang out at the house. I don't know if anybody's gonna come over because I don't know if my brother worked or anything. So that'll probably just be me and my mom.
You gonna dress your dog up?
I don't know. She'll probably be asleep by then. So yeah, it's a little cold out here. So
The cat club. Oh, it's not working. All right. Forget about it. Great. Let's see. Let's keep moving. So, Ryan, how's it going to be different for you?
This will be my first sober New Year's Eve. I'm just going to be hanging out at my parents' house, grilling steaks and watching football. So just
Are they going to play
relaxing.
football
And,
tonight?
there's college bowl games on tonight. The first
Oh.
playoff quarterfinal game is on tonight.
And you're going to grill steaks like out in the backyard?
Yep.
No way. Really?
Yeah, it's not too cold out.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like fun.
Play
They
some
got
board
me hungry.
games.
Got me hungry now. Cool. Weston in North Carolina. How about you? Difference between being sober 8 days and drinking back in the day.
Well, New Year's 2016, Weston alcoholic, by the way. And New Year's 2016 was when I was going to be done drinking. So, I mean, I'm 8 days sober, so we see how well that went.
Yeah.
I worked hard to do things like schedule my work schedule on holidays like this so that I would be working overnight and playing the alcoholic game. I can trick myself into not drinking, and then of course I'd get mysteriously ill by 10 or so I could make it to a liquor store before they all closed and get home. I was back in Minnesota then, and yeah, I don't remember any of my New Year's. I was always alone, always. I have a
Yeah.
great family, and I was always alone. So it's
That's what alcohol does. It isolates us and then it kills us.
yeah, yes it does.
Yeah. All right. Well, glad you're here.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard. Welcome to Newcomer Slippers Step Workshop. And all right, let's go down to Winona. How about you? The difference between now and then?
Hey everybody, Happy New Year, Winona Alcoholic. So I worked midnights a lot of my younger drinking days, but other than that, it was party time, New Year's. I always wanted to go out with, was like the thing to do. Well, I wanted to also. I don't know that I drank to black out because for me, my drinking was gradual, as time went on, I drank more and more. But I knew I wanted to drink to have fun. So how it's changed, how AA has changed my life now for New Year's. It's the same. I'm with family, with my kids, my 2 kids. And somebody mentioned like CNN and
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper. Yeah, kind of sit and do that. I want to go get fireworks, but honestly, I'm afraid to drive. I'm almost home from work, but I'm afraid to get out on the roads because I'm, people drinking and driving. It terrifies me. So I'm glad I have the program and my higher power to lean on when I have people to call. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. When somebody was over here earlier and we were talking and said, I'm not going out. We're gonna, stay home and eat and I'm afraid to go out on the road. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. I don't know. I live in a university town. They'll probably all be out there, but the cops are gonna be out there. So there's sensible people. What they do now is they say, you see them on social media. They said, well, take an Uber. Why would you drive to a bar or any place? And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if I'd remember to do that when I was drinking, but Samantha and Aurora, how about you?
Well, this will be my first New Year's sober as well. I am actually at my mom's house in Aurora. And I'm here with my mom, my stepdad, my brother, and my newborn, and my daughter Nevaeh. She's 8.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay,
they'll
well,
probably
that'll
all be sleeping before New Year's, but I have trouble sleeping at night, so I'll be up.
8-year-old kids probably love New Year's, don't they?
Oh, yeah, I bought her some beads and some little poppers. So
Yeah,
she'll
there
have
you go.
fun.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm excited because I had some health conditions that came up, and I'm happy to not be in the hospital. I actually
Oh, yeah,
drank
that's
until I was seizing out and was in ICU for a few days. So I'm excited and I'm grateful to be out here with family and thank
my
God.
first treatment center I spent New Year's New Year's Eve, in a locked ward. loaded up on Thorazine. That was, I had my 18th birthday in that joint. That was a lot of fun. No, it wasn't. Rebecca, how about you? Difference between now and then?
I was never a New Year's person. Actually, you know, it was no different than any other drinking day. Maybe it was from growing up in the city where it was disgusting, people vomiting on the street, people showing up bloody, and I was just really turned off by that whole scene. So again, my drinking through the years was no different than New Year's. So sorry, I just got my follow-up MRI results on my brain. Sorry.
And so what's up with that?
I'm just reading it. It says something about white matter. My frontal cortex, which I'm kind of Googling now and trying to figure out what that means.
I always
for like
advise
ischemic or the hypertension versus diabetes versus demyelination.
I always advise against looking at MRIs. You know, unless you've had an aneurysm and then there's a big giant splot there, then they're like, oh crap, I'm gonna die. Yeah, MRIs are that's no fun on New Year's Eve to go looking at one of those things.
Exactly.
You start making up all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And half of it might be true. God, who knows? I'm like, what the I can't even begin to whatever. I'm not going to talk about this. Hang in there.
Thanks.
Glad you're here. Turn the MRI off. Turn on Anderson Cooper. Okay, Lisa, you.
Me, I don't know. I think I'm always looking forward to bringing in the new year.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had some great experiences on New Year's, so I don't know what really to say right now. I smell surf and turf cooking, so I know that that's in my very near future. This is probably going to be like my second sober New Year's last year, and I'm very grateful for being sober this year. Last year at this exact time, my son was on life support, so I was, biting my nails, praying, losing, finally realizing there is a higher power kind of thing out there. So I'm grateful to be sober, but I'm also on edge, ready to go. God forbid anything happens. And I think that's what keeps me sober now is like at the click of a finger, I could be running to the hospital at any given time. And I want to be sober and present to be able to do that for my kids. And I want to be the best parent I can be. So, this is going to be my second totally sober New Year's, just waiting for my kids to call and make sure that they're both safe. How about that? And I'm happy.
Perfect. Well, that's good for you. Excellent. So let me see, who did we forget here? We have Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
So you're next, sir. That's good.
Jeff, alcoholic, South Florida. I drank alcoholically no matter where I went. I always went somewhere on New Year's Eve. I drove drunk. I never had I got lucky not to have problems. And that was 25 years of that. And it's typical alcoholic. I always found ways I could, since I was going, how I could beat it. And because I spent so much time in New York and where you could just go on these crawls, maybe someone has you over for a few drinks and something to eat and see the New Year, but then I'm off on a crawl somewhere. You know yourself, the bars are open forever and I can walk or take a subway. And I found ways to drink the alcoholically the way I wanted to drink, with the least, risk. But my drinking came first. And I would socialize with the things. Sometimes I'd be up all night. But some of my real disasters seemed to happen on the long weekends, where as an alcoholic, I wouldn't. I'd drink a whole bunch on Friday night after work and with friends. No matter what job I was doing. Then maybe on Saturday night I'd cool it, But that leaves Sunday and Monday. Sunday morning I get up and I got to make up for the fact that I was deprived of alcohol all day, all last night. And that's when I would get, disaster would happen. Acting out everything, drunk, stupid, yeah. So there's alcohol gets us one way or another. If it don't get us New Year's, it's going to get us some other time. Plenty. Yes, sir.
Thank you. You know, I had most of my party time and party days came after I got an AA and after I got sober. Because when I was drinking, when I was younger, you know, up until I quit, actually, I was like 28 when I came to AA. I always wanted to have fun. What was it Winona mentioned? I always wanted to go out, have some fun. But I never did have fun when I went out because I would always end up out drinking alcoholically. So I couldn't like put anything together. But when I came to AA, started, you know, we here in AA, we have, well, we have dances, we have potlucks, we have parties, we have, you know, cat club, we have all kinds of things. And I mean, even like here in this meeting, you know, usually 4th of July, we'll have like right outside in my patio, we'll have a 4th of July party for people that live around here. And then other people come in through Zoom. So, but I mean, I've had more bigger parties in AA than ever could possibly conceive of when I was drinking. I mean, over the past 47 years, I mean, I've had, you know, we had a fucking Christmas party one day. There were 200 people that showed up on Christmas Day, or had barbecues like that, or AA will put on events that we can go to. So we always suggest you try to go to those things also. Every AA club in every city, you know, has something going on. And so I learned how to socialize and party sober in AA events. Jeff, how about you? Did you do that too?
Jeff, alcoholic. Well, no, because I was always out and about. I wanted some reason to be. I like to socialize, and I drank alcoholically every time where I went. When I first came in, yeah, I made a point of going to the functions. That, yeah, and it was good. You know, the New Year's Eve and the this and that. And I remember checking with my sponsor when I was in New York, and I'd say, well, thank goodness I'm sober. If I go out there, at least I won't run over anybody. He said, you might, but you'll be sober if you do. I mean, this was like kind of like, it was wonderful early
Yeah,
AA.
true.
But no, I didn't follow up. After a while, I would go to the conventions, I still do, but I wasn't going to the functions a lot.
Yeah, so I went to the conventions and all of that. And so like this is kind of fun. Here we are on Zoom, you know. Well, I'll
Oh,
get
this is great.
this
Yeah,
thing. I mean, you know, we're not in person, but we're not alone and we're not
not alone.
isolated in this, you know, in this venue. But I always like to suggest go to AA functions wherever you are.
Yes.
I made a very big deal for me to bring the family. Some groups will have potlucks once a month, or it just depends on where you are in the country. And of course, Zoom helps us not be so isolated. You know, I mean, it really does. Before Zoom, you know, you could be very isolated if you didn't get
Yes.
meetings. You know, so I don't know who, anybody here get around to any of their local events in their local city or not? You do, Lori? What do you go to?
I haven't been going since I started this group, but I have a regular group on Friday nights. And I would make that my home group when, you know, eventually I'll miss this class on Friday night so I can go back to that group.
And what happens over there?
They work on AA literature. They don't talk about cats or boyfriends or.
Well, do they have any fun?
They do. Everybody there knows each other kind of group. It was my old AA group. Most of the people are still there, so it feels like home.
Yeah, the only reason we talk about cats in this meeting is like the leader of the group has a major fixation, probably needs medication for it.
I've been to those.
Okay, so anybody else have local AA events that you go to in your community? Oh, this thing's. No, that's it. Just Lori and Lori and Jeff. So this is good. What else are we gonna do now? We covered everybody. Tomorrow.
Well,
we're
happy
gonna talk
happy
about-
belated birthday, Jan, on 47, by the way. You got to change your
Oh,
name.
thank you. Yeah, I told my story the other day. It's up on Zoom. And there was singing then. Yeah, you can go to our Zoom, not our Zoom, our YouTube channel, and we have all of our classes up there. All of our podcasts are up there. They're actually pretty good if you're trying to learn stuff about AA. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about, when we come back, we're going to talk about the year coming up, what our plans are, our AA plans, our plans for sobriety, our recovery plans for 2025. And then we're going to see when Joe comes back, if she can possibly have one share without talking about a boyfriend, an ex-husband, or a past fiance. That will be a miracle right there. That will be, well, it'll be like divine intervention. You think you can do that, Joe? She's probably talking to her boyfriend. Wait, I
Jeff,
was busy
thank
talking
you.
to my boyfriend.
I am not talking to my boyfriend.
Okay,
You
good.
know, wait, can I just say one thing? It is really hard for me right now to not.
Which parts? What's hard?
That I'm currently dealing with a custody issue with my ex-husband.
Well, one thing that I always advocate in those situations is it's kind of like with Rebecca and her MRI. Don't do it to yourself. So we have a choice. You could put it down. You say, how the hell do you do that? Well, right. That has to be a focus. Otherwise, whatever it is becomes the focus that you can't break. And how do I put it down? How do I stop doing it? How do I stop obsessing? And that is the trick here. So here we don't really, we don't really talk about the custody fight. We actually don't even care about it. It's a non-issue because it's made up. It's not real. Those things like boyfriends, ex-husbands, MRIs, custody battles, they're all things we make up in our head. But the question is, how the hell do I stop? How do I stop doing it? Actually, Lisa, we gave you an instruction on how to not obsess over your ex-husband. What was that? What did you do besides the page 552 prayer? You did some. Oh, you made it up differently. That's it. You made it up. My ex-husband is a great guy, and whatever he does is fine by me. So that's what you're going to have to do over your custody, Joe. Your new challenge will be, my ex-husband is a terrific guy, and we don't have any problems with custody. So that's what you do, and you say that 10 times a day, and suddenly did your ex-husband, Lisa, become a great person or not?
Oh, no. But but the resentment prayer did work.
Yeah.
But when I prayed, I did it differently a little bit, but I tried to take the emotion out of it and tried to look at things objectively. And guardianship and, custody is a hard thing, but you have to step back and realize that that person who's accusing you, and I'm not saying this is what's happening, but I've been in a situation where they can write anything down. They can make you feel like the worst mother ever. They can make you feel totally bad about yourself, but you have to remove yourself from the emotion and from maybe
So wait,
their
stop,
own
stop right there.
illness.
Listen, stop. So the only thing you can do with this, you and Joe, is you can have a new rule. The new rule is my husband, ex-husband is a great guy and he's doing the best job he can. And let it lie right there. Otherwise, you get into the what's called the story, and the story is self-perpetuating. It's like drinking. It's just it's more of the same. Let's ask Jeff. Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff, alcoholic. Well, yes, and first of all, I want to say to everybody, listen to Jann there when it talks to about. Don't get the idea from me that you shouldn't go to AA function. Go to any AA function you can. You know what I'm saying? Just immerse yourself in the program and the people that are around it. Secondly, yeah, it's. I think if the more sober we get, the more we're able to deal with the real issues, and there are some real issues, heavy issues, things I don't know how to deal with, but there's ways to process it. I think the program gives us that, the steps gives us that. So, and especially when it comes to the resentments, you got to say, she's a great gal. He's a great guy. Oh, that boss, believe me, give me 10 more like it. Just talk yourself into it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kick me out again. You're going to kick me out
create
any day
them,
out of here. Kick me out
create them
again.
in a new.
Let the building crash. Hey, thank you, God, I'm alive. Yeah, right. Yeah.
You get to create them. Your mind takes them and says they're an evil person, but that's your mind doing it. And you can talk
That's
to your
right.
mind and say, let's create them as someone who's doing the best he can. And not only that, my ex-husband is the greatest guy on earth. Why did I ever
Right.
divorce him? Boy, that was a mistake.
That's right. That's right.
All those ex-husbands are the same, What?
Jeff, alcoholic. We told ourselves Janet's drunk so many bad lies. Why can't we tell a couple good ones that just kind of lets our spirit go? I'll
Well,
mute.
these are all the things that we create in our head. We sometimes think that they're real. They're not. The only thing that's real in this meeting is this hat that I have on top of my head that keeps blinking. Other than that, everything else is just an illusion. Like Matt's background there. Okay, Matt, you want to take us through the promises? Speaking of illusions.
Sure. Bad alcoholic. These are the promises on page 83 of the big book. If we're painstaking about this phase of our development, we'll be amazed before we are halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We'll comprehend the word serenity and will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We'll lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We'll intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We'll suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They'll always materialize if we work for them.
Perfect. The serenity prayer goes like this. God grant me the serenity to accept the things cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This meeting is officially over. Happy New Year, everybody. And we'll be back tomorrow. I always advocate the 24-hour international meeting. If you could put a link for that up, Matt, if you're having a hard time, that would be the meeting to go to. You get to share for 5 minutes there, and it's called the 24-hour international. Let's see, what else do we have here? So Matt's putting up a link to the 24-hour international meeting. It's out of London. It starts a new meeting every hour on the hour. So you could go there. There's 200 people there at all time. They'll probably have big doings all night long. They usually do. It's kind of fun. What else? So, and if anybody has any questions, about this meeting. There it is. 24-hour international meeting. Just click on it, join the meeting, it takes you right to it. Good meeting. And now everybody's mentioning food, and Lisa was talking about cooking, and then Ryan's like, yeah, we're gonna grill steaks. And then Lisa's like, I can smell the food cooking. And then what's his name there? He's making tacos, and I'm like, crap, I gotta order something. There's somebody coming over here in a little while, but so this will be fun.
Hey, Jen.
Yep.
I just wanted to tell you something real quick because it hit home with me so hard with that everything is illusion.
Yeah.
My best friend, my soulmate, I say to this day, he passed away in April, but I haven't heard anyone ever talk about that the way that you did, unless it was him. He would tell me with every problem I had, like, why are you freaking out? It's all fake. Nothing's real. Like, you know what I mean? And I've never heard anybody else say that until just now. And that just like made my whole night because he was such an inspirational person. And that's so true. Like he pounded that into my head for 20 years. It's all an illusion.
Yeah.
It's all in your head.
We
Like,
make stuff up about people, even if it's like has some validity, we still make it up.
mm-hmm.
You know, but like, you know, my blah, 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 this person did that. No, but they really are. Right. As long as you hang on to that, it will become more and more real, and it'll rule your life. Speak from experience. Yeah. How do you bust out of it? That is the question. And the way you bust out of it is you make up a new rule. So my ex-husband, terrible custody battle. What a bastard. So you make up a new rule, Jeff. My ex-husband is the greatest guy on earth. I love the way he dresses. He has a great car. He's extremely nice to me. I couldn't have picked a better person to have as an ex-husband. And that's, you just write that down and you keep saying it and thinking it. It's like if Matt were to say this about Taylor Swift. If he were to say, okay, Taylor
I do say it about Taylor Swift. She's the best singer ever.
Coming from somebody who, oh boy, but doing it is one thing, but you do it when you're in extreme pain. Okay, I'll try it. You know, sometimes otherwise people will think I'm Janice insensitive. Not exactly, but our job here is to bust out of these trips that we lay on ourselves and keep on them for decades. So this is so great. So Sam's having taco. Hey Lisa, what are you making at your house?
Actually, I have to say my boyfriend's doing most of the cooking and he's doing surf and turf. So we're having steaks and I believe lobster tails and
What's a surf and turf? A what?
steak and lobster.
Oh, surf and turf.
And I'm just stirring the mushrooms on the stove and I made ham and bean soup today and
Love ham and bean.
it came out really good today. So yeah, a little bit of everything.
Wow.
Yep.
And Matt, are you cooking at your house or no?
Yeah, I got 2 pork butts I rubbed this morning and I'm throwing them on the smoker tonight. For real.
Because you have to bring in the new year with pork.
That's right. Not chicken. You got to have pork.
Yep. You do.
Now, I expected Ron to have a pork butt going too, but
I
in
have
Kentucky.
McDonald's. I gotta work tomorrow.
All right. Well, everybody have a happy new year. It was nice talking to you today.
Same
We'll
to
see you
you.
tomorrow.
You too,
Happy
Sam.
New Year, everyone. I'll
Night.
let
Hang
out
in
there.
there, Rebecca.
See y'all next year.
Thank you
All right.
all.
Definitely.
Here.
Thank you. Yes, Kim, thank you. Say, Matt?